Bhagavatam Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Brajajana Randana Yasodhanandana Brajajana Randana Yamuna Tiro Vanachadri Yamuna Tiro Vanachadri Jaya Radha Madhava Vannabhihari Jaya Radha Madhava Vannabhihari Jaya Uttara Mansa Paribhajagacharya Stakare Smada Viditam Saraswati Goswami Bhagavad Jaya Ananda Gauri Vaishnava Ki Jaya Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jaya Names of the whole Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhakti Jaya Sri Radha Krishna Bhogavna Sam Kanda Radha Kanda Giri Ki Jaya Vrindavan Dham Ki Jaya Navadvip Dham Ki Jaya Ganga Maya Ki Jai, Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Guru Bhagavad Dham Ki Jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, all glories to the all glories to the Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Urugai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Gurudeva, glories to Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
You're very much welcome to Hare Krishna Africa platform.
Thank you for tolerating me.
Hare Krishna. My name is Sahadev Das. So, yes, I will be hosting. And the devotees are a bit late today, but we can, if you're ready, we can put the verse on the screen and then you start. Devotees
Yes.
will come in. Okay.
Let us begin. No problem.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Gurudev Guru Chandraya Radhikaya Tarale Krishna Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today, by the mercy of the devotees, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, most glorious Bhagavat Puran, first canto, chapter 11, which I believe is called Krishna arriving in Dwarka, something like this. And we're reading text 28. I hope you can hear me all right. I'm just going to apologize in advance that I'm in Mayapur in India and sometimes the electricity might go off. So if that happens, I will come back. Just don't freak out.
All right, we can hear you, yes.
Good. Okay. Pravishtas tu griham pitro parishvakta samatribi bhavandi shirasa sapta devaki you a warning before it happened.
Yes.
Krishna is the super soul in the heart.
Yeah.
Okay, so I read the Sanskrit. Do you want me to read the synonyms, or can we go straight to the translation?
Whichever way you prefer.
Yeah, let's go straight to translation. Okay. After entering the house of his father, he was embraced by the mothers present, and the Lord offered his obeisances unto them by placing his head at their feet. The mothers were headed by Devaki, his real mother. We have a prayer book by Srila Prabhupada. It appears that Vasudev, the father of Lord Krishna, had completely separate residential quarters where he lived with his 18 wives, out of whom Srimati Devaki is the real mother of Lord Krishna. But in spite of this, all other stepmothers were equally affectionate to him, as will be evident from the following verse. Lord Krishna also did not distinguish his real mother from his stepmothers, and he equally offered his obeisances unto all the wives of Vasudeva present on the occasion. According to scriptures also, there are 7 mothers. The real mother, the wife of the spiritual master, the wife of a brahmana, the wife of the king, the cow, the nurse, and the earth. All of them are mothers. Even by this injunction of the Shastras, the stepmother, who is the wife of the father, is also as good as the mother, because the father is also one of the spiritual masters. Lord Krishna, the Lord of the universe, plays the part of an ideal son just to teach others how to treat their stepmothers. Amazing. We'll chant Mangala Charan. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmaya Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Vipagara Mayam Dharati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagujatam Sahagana Vaganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sita Devi Pranami Harite Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Chaini Nivishesha Sunyavari Paschatadeshatani Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Vataram Bhakta Kyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Mande Mategati Matsarvasva Parambo Jorada Madana Mohano Divyar Vrindaranya Kalpa Shumara Srimad Ratnakara Simhasanasto Srimad Radhashila Govinda Devo Prastalipi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasarasaram Divam Shivata Tatasita Kashan Venusvane Gopi Gopinatas Triestuna Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. I'd just like to offer my respectful obeisances unto my beloved spiritual master, to Srila Prabhupada, and all of the inspiration and our whole Guru Bhagya, and of course to all the devotees. Most of you don't know me, but it's by the grace of the devotees that we're here to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. So let us begin. Just gonna open on my computer because it's easier for me to read. So here we're learning about Krishna and his mothers and his family and his life. And it's very interesting because what really stood out for me is the mothers were headed by Devaki. And not only that, Krishna, when he comes, he's placing his head at the feet of his mothers. So what is going on? You know, this is the Supreme Lord, correct? The cause of all causes. This is God. And he's coming and he's placing his head on the feet of his devotees. So what does it mean? Is there someone higher than God? Is God not the Supreme? Is Krishna? What is it? But as Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, Krishna is teaching by example. Krishna is teaching how to behave in this world. But actually, it's a little bit more intimate than this also, in one sense, that Krishna actually derives a lot of pleasure and satisfaction from having these loving exchanges with the devotees, which we would call rasa. Actually, Krishna is known as Rasaraj, Rasaraj Govinda, that he actually relishes these loving exchanges amongst him and his devotees. And this is actually the function of the jiva, is to facilitate these loving exchanges, not only to facilitate, but also to be engaged in these loving exchanges. And I hope that in today's session, we will be able to discuss these in some detail. So Krishna actually enjoys very much this relationship of becoming subordinate to his devotee. This is the unique and wonderful position of Krishna. The Supreme Lord that we're dealing with is that he wants to be bound by the love of his devotees. We just had this month of Kartik, where we hear this beautiful pastime of Yashoda binding Damoda. And it's mentioned there that, you know, Krishna wasn't bound by rope, but he was bound by the love of Mother Yashoda. And it's a very beautiful pastime. We hear that Krishna, he's so naughty, he's stealing butter. And Mother Yashoda, she understands out of love that she has to correct her child. So what she does, she's chasing Krishna. And it's mentioned, you know, these yogis in meditation, they're chasing after the Supreme Lord in their meditation, and they cannot catch him. But this Mother Yashoda, she was able to catch this Krishna. And then she tries to bind him to this grinding mortar. There's very beautiful descriptions there, but it's mentioned she took a ribbon from her hair, piece of string, and she tried to bind Krishna, but it was short. And it's very nice, these descriptions, because what happens is Mother Yashoda, she tries to take different pieces of rope from her house, but it's only after she engages all of the gopis, all of the Brajvasis, the entire village, she brings them. It's only then, after seeing her intense sincerity and effort, that Krishna allows to be bound, not by the rope, but by her mother's love. And it was the original piece from her hair that was the piece that actually tied Krishna. And it's very interesting, because what we can learn from this pastime is that on our own effort, what is it that we're able to achieve? We are not independent angels. Our process is Harinam Sankirtan. So Sankirtan, the root Samya means together, and Kirtan, to glorify the Lord. So we come together, Sankirtan, and glorify Krishna. On our own, we cannot. On Mother Yashoda's own, of course, they're performing this pastime for our understanding, but on her own strength, she was not able to capture Krishna. When they came together in Sankirtan, they were able to catch Krishna. And this is our process. We come together, the Yuga Dharma is Harinam Sankirtan, and together we glorify Krishna. So Krishna here loves these relationships. He's Rasaraj. He wants to, and he's very expert at extracting rasa. He wants to have these loving exchanges where he becomes subordinate to the love of his devotees. If we see the Bhagavad-Gita, what's happening? Krishna is the chariot driver of Arjuna. Krishna is God. Arjuna is the servant, but Krishna is serving Arjuna. This is the situation. And even there's beautiful descriptions in Mahabharata where Krishna becomes the doorkeeper and collects the shoes of all the guests coming to the house of the Pandavas. This is Krishna. He's a person. He's not some words on paper or some set of laws. He's a person with likes and dislikes, and he's very expert in extracting these rasas. So this is why Krishna is placing his head at the feet of his mother, because he enjoys the feeling of being subordinate to their love. He enjoys what's called Vatsalya Ras, where the mothers, they're thinking, oh, here is our son. And this is a subject that I want to get into, is describing the love of Devaki and showing that Yashoda, comparing this to the love of Yashoda, because Prabhupada says something very interesting in this verse. He says, the mothers were headed by Devaki, his real mother. Now, whether Prabhupada put that there, I mean, if we look in the Prabhupada is also saying, and many times we hear, Prabhupada says that Krishna is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. And this is the first line of the Prabhupada. Prabhupada is saying, it appears that Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna, had completely separate residential quarters where he lived with his 18 wives, out of whom Srimati Devaki is the real mother of Lord Krishna. So what's going on? So what's going on? Sorry, I'm back. I hope. Yeah. So in this verse of the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna is talking about one who understands the nature and activities of his janma. What is the English translation? Upon leaving this body, he never takes his birth again in this material world, but attains his eternal abode. So we should try to understand the janma of Krishna. Why? Because this is the perfection of our life. One who understands the janma of Krishna, then no more birth and death in the material world. You can eternally join Krishna, which is the perfection of the human form of life, which Srila Prabhupada says, going back home, back to Godhead. So janma in the Bhagavad-Gita, Prabhupada translates it as appearance. And as we know in Sanskrit, there's so many different ways to translate one word, but we also understand janma means birth. You know, about 1.5 kilometers from here is the Janma Sthan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the appearance place of the birthplace, the Janma Sthan of Lord Chaitanya. So does God take birth in this world? Is that how it works? So Krishna is saying one who understands this, one who is able to understand, he no longer has to take birth in this material world. So Krishna is saying, also, Prabhupada is saying that Devaki is the real mother of Krishna. And this is what I want to discuss. I want to focus on this in today's session. In Bhagavatam, the opening of Bhagavatam, or in Krishna book, which are the same, we learn about the story of Kamsa, Vasudeva, and Devaki, and the appearance of Krishna in the 3rd chapter of the 10th canto. Krishna actually appears. So Kamsa, he is the cousin sister of Devaki. And Vasudeva and Devaki, they've just been married, and Kamsa as the brother, he's taking the reins of the chariot and taking Devaki to the house of her, new family. And then as they're going along, there's an Akashvani, which Kash means sky and Vani means instruction or a voice in the sky that says, Kamsa, you fool, don't you know that the 8th child of Vasudeva and Devaki will kill you? And upon hearing this, Kamsa, he's very degraded, demoniac, very unfortunate type of person. Immediately takes out his sword, catches the hair of Devaki and is about to kill her. Why? Because he's attached to living in this material world. I mean, of course, if anyone was to harm us or attack us, we would also defend ourselves. But Kamsa went so far as immediately taking up his sword to kill his family, his cousin sister. And Vasudeva, he's a great devotee, he's a pure devotee, he's the father of the Lord, as we know. He immediately devotees are considered the most intelligent. He immediately, with his intelligence, he begins to, in different ways, negotiate, reconcile, even preach to Kamsa. He says, you know, you're not the body or the soul, for example, so why? But of course, Kamsa is not pacified. And to make the short story shorter, in the end, he says, look, Kamsa, my word is my honor. One of the legs of Dharma is truthfulness, and we live by our word. I will offer you every child that we have. I will give you as an offering, and then you can decide what you do with it, but don't kill your sister. So devotees are intelligent. He understands, you know, better that she lives, and then we can, when the children come, then we will see what we can do. But Kamsa, he's very degraded, very demoniac, and he actually puts these his family, Vasudeva and Devaki, in prison. And one by one, the children are born, and by circumstance, and anyway, Kamsa ends up taking these babies and smashing them against the prison cell wall and killing them. This is the person that we're dealing with. But it's very interesting, one side point to mention, that Kamsa, he never killed the children in the womb. He waited until the children were born before he killed them, because even he's such a demoniac personality, if killing the baby in the womb is considered most sinful. And I don't mean to give him any credit or glorification. I'm not. I'm just making the point that to kill the child in the womb is very sinful. So even Kamsa, as a demon, he had some culture. And when the children were born, he killed them. So it's described in Bhagavatam that when finally Krishna appeared, what happened was he first entered into the heart of Vasudeva, and from the heart of Vasudeva he entered into the heart of Devaki, and then from the heart of Devaki into her womb, and then from her womb he manifested in a form, Vishnu form. So Krishna, he doesn't appear in this world like an ordinary person. So when we hear about, you know, Krishna's mother and Krishna's father, actually Krishna, he didn't take birth in Kamsa's prison in Mathura. He was not born. He manifested as four-armed, you know, Narayan form, Vishnu, forearms, Kasuba gem, Srivatsa, jewelry. And after that, because of the Vatsalya rasa, the parental affection of Vasudeva and Devaki, he then took the form of a small baby. So this pastime is showing that actually when Krishna appears in this world, he doesn't appear as an ordinary person. He's completely transcendental, beyond the modes of material nature. His body is Satchitananda. It's free from any material imperfections. It's all completely by his will. Everything is happening by his will. So this is the presentation of Bhagavatam. And then what happens is, again, to make the story shorter, but by the grace of this Krishna, who's actually described as a prakash, or an expansion of Prajanananda and Shamsundar, which we're going to discuss. What happens is Vasudeva takes this baby, all the prison opens, all the guards are asleep, and he takes this baby to Vrindavan, where he exchanges the child with the son of Nanda, the daughter, forgive me, of Nanda and Yashoda. So this is what I want to discuss, because there's a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is also quoted from Laghu Bhagavatamrita by Srila Rupa Goswami, which says, Krishno nyo yaru sambhuto yapurna soschatapara vrindavanam parityaja swa kvachim naiva gachati. This verse is saying that the Krishna known as Yadukumar is Vasudeva Krishna. So this son of Krishna, Vasudeva Krishna, he is different from Krishna, who is the son of Nanda Maharaj. So what's going on? All of a sudden, now there's two Krishnas. Yadukumar Krishna manifests his pastimes in the city of Mathura and Dwarka. Here's the point. But Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, never at any time leaves Vrindavan. So this is an interesting point, that what we see is our Shastra is describing two Krishnas. Now don't get confused that there's two Krishnas. Krishna is one. But Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, the original Krishna is Brajendra Nandana Sham Sundar in Vrindavan. And now Acharyas explain, and we're going to read Srila Prabhupada's descriptions also, that actually what happened is Krishna, he's God. So he's very special that he has two mothers and two fathers. And a Prakash of Krishna, Vasudeva Krishna, he appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. And at the same time, Nandana Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna, he took birth from the womb of Yashoda. And this is explained in the 10th canto in the third chapter in the 47th verse. Our Srila Prabhupada discusses it based on the commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami. And actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur especially, he goes into a lot of emphasis proving that Krishna is actually the son of Yashoda and Nanda. So let's read. There's a verse now. I'll open it. The 10th canto, 3rd chapter, text 47. Tatascha surya bhagavat prachodita sutam samadhyaya sasuttika grihat yada bahi gantam iyashatar aja yayoga maya janinanda jayaya. Therefore, exactly when Vasudeva, being inspired by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about to take the newborn child from the delivery room, Yogamaya, the Lord's spiritual energy, took birth as the daughter of the wife of Maharaj Nanda. So the purport is going to make more sense. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur discusses that Krishna appeared simultaneously as the son of Devaki and as the son of Yashoda, along with the spiritual energy Yogamaya. As the son of Devaki, he first appeared as Vishnu, and because Vasudeva was not in the position of pure affection for Krishna, Vasudeva worshipped his son as Lord Vishnu. Yashoda, however, pleased her son Krishna without understanding his godhood. This is the difference between Krishna as the son of Yashoda and as the son of Devaki. This is explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on the authority of Harivamsa. So this is very interesting, the point that Yashoda, however, pleased her son Krishna without understanding his godhood. So this is the very unique and wonderful offering, contribution, perspective of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. The Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition is presenting Krishna in Vrindavan. So we always hear Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we all know Krishna is God. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna is the Lord, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. But actually God is just an aspect of Krishna. Krishna is actually more than God. God is just a part of Krishna's magnificence. And the wonderful thing that's offered in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition is that this Krishna this conception of Krishna in Vrindavan is amazing, because the unlimited Supreme Lord, the unlimited, infinite, creator of everything, this Supreme Lord Krishna, he becomes so close to the finite, infinitesimal jiva. The unlimited becomes so close to the jiva that the jiva doesn't even know anymore this is the Supreme Lord. He's thinking, this is my master, this is my friend, this is my child, this is my lover. This is the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, and this is what is being explained by Prabhupada. The unique position of Yashoda is that she loved Krishna without understanding that he's God. And it's interesting. There's so many scriptures talking about how Krishna is God, right? So imagine if we went to Mother Yashoda with all of these scriptures, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam and the Bhagavad-Gita, Sarvadharma Prityaja, or, so many verses are there. And we said, dear Yashoda Mai, your Lala, he's actually the Supreme Lord. Then what would she think? Even, there's beautiful descriptions in Bhagavatam or in Krishna book where so many times the Brajbasis, they go to Nanda Baba and say, hey, your Lala, he's God. He's doing all these things. And Nanda Maharaj says, what do you mean? He's God. He's so naughty. He's always stealing. He's always getting in trouble. He's always making problems. This isn't the behavior of God. This mischievous boy, he's not God. And even if he is God, first he's my son. This is the mood of the Brajbasis. Krishna does so many extraordinary things. Krishna, for 7 days, he lives Govardhan Hill. Indra, he tries to kill the Brajbasis, which is inconceivable. Tries to kill Krishna's family. And Krishna, he lives Govardhan Hill for 7 days. But, different people have different perspectives. Like the cowherd boys, they're seeing like all the gopas with their sticks. They're also lifting Govardhan. And they're thinking, oh, it's not Krishna that's lifting this. It's because of all the cowherdmen that Krishna is able to hold up this Govardhan Hill. Or the gopis, they're thinking, no, it's because of Srimati Radharani. She's empowering Krishna to lift this Govardhan Hill. So like this, they all have their different perspectives and theories, but no one is actually thinking this boy is God. And even if they think he's God, he says, anyway, he's Krishna. There's a beautiful description in Sarita Darshini in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on Bhagavatam where Krishna swallows the forest fire. There's, I believe it's after the Kaliya pastime. But anyway, there's a blazing forest fire and Krishna tells all the boys, close your eyes. And they close their eyes. And Krishna just swallows the fire. And then when they open their eyes and they see that they're safe and they're protected, they think, my God, this Krishna, he must be some demigod. He's so extraordinary. He's so magical. He killed Aghasura. He did so many things. And he swallowed this forest fire. He must be a demigod. So if Krishna's a demigod, we must also be demigods because we're Krishna's family. So like this is the mood of the Brajbasis. The mood in Dwarka and Mathura is known as Aishwarya, which generally refers to awe and reverence, whereas the mood in Vrindavan is what's referred to as Madhurya, Madhu, honey, sweetness. So it's mentioned, it's not that there's no Aishwarya in Vrindavan, there's so much Aishwarya.
We believe Prabhu will be back very shortly.
Sorry. Yeah, I think some of the devotees, they were not there in the beginning where I apologize in advance for the electricity going on and off. It's just a part of life in Hare Krishna. I believe I was talking about the Ganga. And if you take like a 50 kilogram bag of salt and you throw it in the Ganga, 50 kilos of Aishwarya and throw it in the flowing river of Madhurya. So much salt compared to the 1 tablespoon, but there's so much sweetness that the Aishwarya just gets covered over. So this is Vrindavan. And this is the mood of the Brajbasis, and this is the unique theological contribution of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, that God is just an aspect of Krishna. And the truth is, we don't want God, we want Shyam Sundar. And actually, more so, with the contribution of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we want the divine couple together, Radha and Krishna. These are our Ishtadev. Radha Krishna Pranamora Yugala Kishore. Narottam Das Thakur is praying for darshan of his Ishtadev, Radha and Krishna together. So this is the unique position that we find ourselves in, where our tradition is taking us past God, not only past God, past, all the way through Vaikuntha, Mathura, Dwarka to Vrindavan, where Krishna is no longer the Supreme Lord, because he's not. Krishna is just a beautiful, little bit naughty cowherd boy. And this is the moods of the Brajbasis, and it's not something to be imitated, but this is what's presented in our philosophy. I think there was something I wanted to, because it's not so clear, because it's actually very confidential in our tradition that Krishna is not actually the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, even though scripture is saying, Prabhupada is saying, but actually Krishna is the son of Mata Yashoda and Nanda. This is the mood of the Brajbasis, which we're aspiring to be. And I found a purport of Srila Prabhupada in the 5th chapter of the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, where he's talking about what's called, is it here? The Jatakarma, which is where actually they cut the umbilical cord when Krishna took birth. They cut the umbilical cord of Krishna. And we don't generally go into so much detail about this or even discuss it in public, because people get confused. They think, what? Cutting umbilical cord? Jatakarma, this is human. But of course, Vrindavan is Nara Leela. It's human-like pastimes. And we're not denying Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He's the supreme cause of all causes. Lord Brahma is praying, Ishvara Padama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Adi Govinda Sarva Karna Karna. He's praying like this. Krishna is spiritual body, cause of all causes. We're not denying. The thing is, the spiritual world, specifically Vrindavan, is functioning based on rasa and the facilitation of rasa. So the Jatakarma ceremony, this is for the sake of rasa, but also to emphasize that Krishna took birth from the womb of Yashoda. Yashoda is the mother of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada says, Prabhupada's really cool about it, because he's not saying, he's really like neutral and just presenting the Shastra and the philosophy. So he's saying the Jatakarma ceremony can take place with the umbilical cord connecting the child to the placenta is cut. However, since Krishna was brought by Vasudeva to the house of Nanda Maharaj, where was the chance for this to happen? In this regard, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur desires to prove with evidence from many Shastras that Krishna actually took birth as the son of Yashoda. And even though there may be many doubts about the cutting of the umbilical cord, and even though it is possible that it was not done, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, such events are regarded as factual. And then he goes on to say, Krishna appeared as Vrahadev from the nostril of Brahma, and therefore Brahma is described as the father of Vrahadev. And then Prabhupada says, according to the opinion of some authorities, Krishna was actually born as the son of Yashoda. In any case, without regard for material understanding, we accept that Nanda Maharaj's celebration for the ceremony of Krishna's birth was proper. So Prabhupada is very gentle and delicate in his presentation, but if we look at the, as I was mentioning before, the commentaries of the acharyas such as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, of course, so many, all of them, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then some of, anyway, many authorities, they are pointing out that Krishna is the son of Yashoda, because this is the mood of the Brajbasis, and this is what's being given by our Guru Parampara, this Braj Bhakti. And why is that? This is the gift of Lord Chaitanya. This is the contribution of Lord Chaitanya. There's a very beautiful bhajan by Narahari Sakara called Yadi Gauranga Naito. Yadi Gauranga Naito, Devaki Hoito, Kemone Torito de. He's saying, if Lord Chaitanya didn't come, what would happen to us? What would have happened? What would our fate be if Lord Chaitanya never came? Who would have told us about the glories of the residents of Vrindavan? Because if you look in the Adi Leela of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada describes the mission of Lord Chaitanya, and he talks about the 4 reasons that Lord Chaitanya came. There's 2 internal reasons, which means for Krishna's own, you can say his own desire, and there's 2 external reasons, which is for the benefit of others. So the internal reasons, he came to taste prem ras, and that's the first internal reason. He came to taste ras, which is our whole class, we've been speaking about ras. And this, the first external reason was he came to distribute this ras to the living entities. Well, specifically service to this ras. And there's a verse talking about this, which I'll quote next. And then he wanted to answer the calling of Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya, he worshipped Shaligram with Tulsi and Ganga water, and he invoked the Lord to descend to this world. So to reciprocate with Advaita Acharya, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna came as Lord Chaitanya. And then the second external reason, or the 4th reason for Lord Chaitanya coming, is actually to establish the Yuga Dharma of Harinam Sankirtan. So many times we talk, oh, Lord Chaitanya, he came to establish the Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan. But actually there was many other reasons that Lord Chaitanya came, especially the primary reason, he wanted to taste Prem Ras. There's a beautiful verse, Prem Ras Niyase Korite Ashudam, Rag Mag Bhakti Lo Korite Pachan, Rasika Shekara Krishna Parama Karun, E Dui Hita Hita Ichima Udgan, which means Prem Ras Niyase Korite Ashudam. Krishna came to taste Prem Ras, Rag Mag Bhakti Lo Korite Pachan. He came to give Rag Mag, or service to this Prem, to the fallen conditioned souls of this world. This is the purpose of Lord Chaitanya coming, to taste Prem Ras, and distribute service to this Ras. There's a beautiful verse in Adi Leela. I believe Rupa Goswami wrote it, but I could be wrong, forgive me. It's Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Anarpita Chirim Chirat, Kurunavatara Kulosamat Paitam, Unotoj Balarasam, Swa Bhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundara Jutikanamba Satit Sandipitaha, Sarahide Kandares Puratu Vasachinandara. So, Anapita Chirim Chirat, Kurunavatara, Samapaitam, Unotoj Rasam, Swa Bhakti Shriyam. So, Unotoj means the most brilliantly shining. Unotoj jewel, this most brilliantly shining jewel, Unutoj Ras Swa Bhakti Shriyam. So this rasa, Swa Bhakti Shriyam, Swa Bhakti, Swa means own, and Bhakti means bhakti, and Shriyam means the treasure, or the service of Krishna's own bhakti. So Lord Chaitanya came to give service to his bhakti, to inspire the jivas, the fallen conditioned souls of this world, to engage in service to Krishna's own bhakti, which some of our acharyas have described as service to Srimati Radharani, which is a very unique and intimate and confidential aspect of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. service to Srimati Radharani. But the point is, the principle is that the function, the Jaiva Dharma, or what the living entity is meant to do is facilitate loving exchanges between Krishna and his devotees. This is the function of the jiva in Vrindavan. This is the position, the necessity that is made available to us as jivas. And I mean, if we just see every day we're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So what are we doing? Hare Krishna, we're bringing Radha and Krishna together. This is the function of the jiva, to bring Radha and Krishna together. This is our existence, our purpose, the core of our being is meant to facilitate these loving exchanges, this rasa, serving Krishna's bhakti. This is also what is being offered to us. Because as Narahari Sakura sang in this bhajan, Yadi Gauranga Naito, the amazing thing is that for us, you could say like Kali Yuga rejects, the unfortunate souls that somehow appeared in Kali Yuga. It's very amazing that Krishna is so wonderful that he has given the most valuable, unique, the highest conception ever available possible to the most lowly and fallen and wretched. This is the mercy of Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya. And this is the opportunity that's been given to us, that even though, we're born in this age of Kali, we have so many, there's this verse, I can remember it's talking about Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. I don't remember the verse right now, but it's saying there's one good thing. Kale doshanadi rajan esti hakomahan grina kirtana deva Krishna samukta sangha paramajay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. That there's one good thing, that we can chant the holy name. This is the wonderful, unique position of Kali Yuga. I remember when I first met the devotees, I asked my spiritual master, why is it that this Kali Yuga is so bad? It's so terrible. And he said, no, this is not Kali Yuga. The same way, if you have a diamond and you put it against a black background, it makes the diamond look more beautiful. This is not Kali Yuga, this is Chaitanya Yuga. All this is simply a backdrop to emphasize the magnanimity, it's a difficult word, the magnanimity of Lord Chaitanya. All of this is to glorify the unique contribution of Lord Chaitanya. So we discussed today, obviously there's a lot in the purport, but we're not able to cover everything. But we discussed, I'll get the verse up, Krishna in Dwarka coming to the house of his parents, the loving exchanges he's having with his mothers, and then we spoke about Krishna as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, and then we discussed a little bit about the moods of the Brajbasis and how our acharyas, very confidentially, because it's not even specifically there in Bhagavatam, it's presented by the commentaries by our acharyas, how Krishna is very wonderful, that he has two mothers and two fathers, but actually the mood of the Brajbasis and our understanding is the original and the unique contribution of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, that us fallen jivas in this age of Kali, we can actually enter into a relationship with Krishna in Vrindavan, having the moods of the Brajbasis. This is what's the mission of Lord Chaitanya. to give us service to these moods and ultimately a position there in the spiritual world. And how do we do it? You know, we understand that the Yuga Dharma is chanting Hare Krishna, but not just chanting Hare Krishna, but congregationally chanting Hare Krishna, coming together and hearing the glorification of Krishna, as well as, you know, the congregational chanting. But our acharyas, they're so kind that they're very diligently mapped out an entire process, which is there for us to appreciate and study and to dive deep. But there's a beautiful verse, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhav sa sarinabhita nitya siddhyasya bhavasya prakatyam kriti sadhyata, where it's talking about the process of sadhana. Like, what is sadhana? What is bhakti? You know, our acharyas, that bhakti is one, but it can be analyzed, if you like, in 3 stages. There's sadhana bhakti, there's bhav bhakti, and there's prem bhakti. So sadhana bhakti is described as kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhav sa sarinabhita. So using this material body and the senses, you engage in the process of bhakti. You use this body and these senses, and you engage in this sadhana bhakti, this process of bhakti, because bhakti exists, this bhav, bhakti exists as a potentiality within the heart. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he also gave the Bengali equivalent of this verse. Anyway, it's not coming to my mind right now, but there's also in Chaitanya Charitamrita the same verse, but in Bengali. With the principle is that it's this bhav as a potentiality is there, it's existing, it's accessible, it's how to say, the process of sadhana is through our material body and senses. We engage in this process and we attract this bhav to descend in the heart, which is always existing eternally. It's eternally existing, and we will attract it. And by mercy of the devotees, of the Guru or Krishna, it will, you can say, activate or descend in the heart. So there's a conversation in Chaitanya Charitamrita between Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya asked this question, like, to Ramananda Roy, who is the greatest capitalist? And Ramananda Roy says, the greatest capitalist is the devotee. And why is that? What is a great capitalist? A great capitalist is one who takes, you know, some cheap product and then sells it in the market for a high price and makes a big profit. This is a great capitalist. So who is the greatest capitalist? The devotee. Why? Because he's taking this material body, which is absolutely worthless. It's temporary. It's gonna die. It's you know, it actually has no value, materially speaking. He takes this material body, temporary material body, he engages it in the process of sadhana bhakti, and what is the result? He gets a spiritual body. And he has a relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world. Therefore, the devotee is the greatest capitalist because he's taking this useless material body, engaging it in the process of sadhana, and then getting a spiritual body, or activating, you could say, self-realization, realizing that he is not the body, he is the soul, which is the first teaching of the Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 2. Krishna is teaching us that we're not the body, we're the soul. So that, therefore, you know, we spoke about so many things, but what is the process to understand or appreciate or realize these things is actually engaging in the process of sadhana, which the primary foundation is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And of course, you know, there's so many limbs of bhakti. 64 is given by Rupa Goswami, and then, you know, we also hear from Prahlad Maharaj, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Achanam Mandanam Dasyam Sakyamatnam Vedanam, like this. And then again, you know, living in the holy Dham, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, deity worship, chanting the holy name. There's 5 that it gives. But like this, there's a process of which the foundation is chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, as well as hearing about the glories of Krishna and congregationally coming together as we are. Obviously, Zoom is a little bit more impersonal than in real life, but it's nice to come together and glorify Krishna. And like this, the Hridrogam Ashriparino Achirena Diraha, this disease, lust in the heart will be eradicated and removed. Chitodai Panamajana, the mirror of the heart will be cleansed. And then Kirtaniya Sirahari, you can chant the holy name. So there's about 9 minutes left. I can speak more, but I don't know if I should stop for questions or comments, or I saw there's some senior devotees here I didn't acknowledge, but if anyone would like to make some contribution or correction, clarification, or add something, it would be a privilege to hear from the devotees, or I can speak something more to finish up.
Hare Krishna. Well, we are not strictly bound by 1 hour. It depends on you as a speaker and the audience. If the audience are still eager to hear from you and you are eager to speak, you can go on to speak.
Sure.
Otherwise, if the devotees have questions, they may also ask. It's up to you.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll wait a sec. We'll wait a sec, and if anybody contributes, because it's nice to have some discussion. You can churn more nectar. You can.
Well, I have a question.
Someone else put up the hand.
Somebody. Okay, there are lots of hands up. It's okay. So.
But
Yeah.
you can go. You started already. No problem.
Okay. I'll go. I am assuming that when I first saw your name, I mistakenly saw it to be Uruguay.
Yeah, the country, right?
The country.
Uruguay, Guru Guy, Guru Jai.
Yeah. So that tells me the country Uruguay probably has some sort of Vedic connection.
I can hope so.
Yes. Well, my question is, when you were talking about the discussions between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Rai, where Ramananda Rai was saying that the capitalist is the devotees, because we're using this, worthless body to attain a higher body to go back home, back to Godhead. If that happens to be the case, then that would mean that we are humans trying to explore into spirituality. But the fact of the matter is that we are actually spirits that are exploring in the human world. So I would like you to throw more light on why Lord Chaitanya accepted that answer as a true answer.
It's an interesting point. I think it's, one sec, I connected with my phone in case the power went off. It's an interesting point. I think we shouldn't break it down too much and analyze it too much, because it's more based on the principle that the devotee is most intelligent in that he's taking this body, which is temporary, and getting the result is spiritual, because we understand that if we don't engage in the process of bhakti, we eternally remain in the material world. And we've been here anadi bahi mukha anadi, from a time without beginning. We've been in taking body after body, samsara. So the point is, now we have this human form of life. The human form of life is meant for self-realization. And then one who is intelligent, which is the devotee, he will use this temporary life to gain eternal life. You know, I also use the word that this body has no value, but we understand this body has so much value. Not only does this body have so much value, we're born in this Kali Yuga, this special Kali Yuga, which happens once in a day of Lord Brahma, where even the demigods, they want to descend and take birth now, because now is the time when you can enter into Golok Vrindavan. And there's also a verse, Videhamadhyam Sulabam Sutulabam Plabam Sukapam Guru Kanadaram. My aunt, I forget the third line. Anyway, and the last line is Sa'atma, that so this human form of life is considered to be like a perfectly constructed ship, and the captain is the guru, and the instructions of the shastras are like the favorable winds impelling you on your journey, and carrying the body is carrying you across the ocean of material existence. And one who doesn't take advantage of the human form of life is considered Sa'atmaha, the killer of their own soul. So we understand that the body does have a lot of value, and it's not worth this. But the principle was that the devotee is using the temporary body to get eternal life. Now, just to quickly address and answer your question, it's true, we are spirit souls having a human experience, but we understand that the human experience we're having is a result of our wanting to be independent of Krishna. And so it's our independence that is forcing us to be away from Krishna. And I was reading with a friend tonight in the Bhagavad-Gita, the end of the 3rd chapter, Arjuna is asking, why is it that we're forced against our will to do things that we don't want to do? And Krishna is saying it's because of lust. You know what I mean? It's because of your independence. You're using your independence. Not even, I was processing this point about independence. Maybe I can share with you. You can tell me if it makes sense. But you know, the detached jiva, we have an independence. That's Krishna's amazing, unique contribution, that he created jivas, like, you know, spiritual beings that have an independence. We're independent from Krishna, but this independence is forcing us, because of our independent nature, we're forced to be independent, and therefore we turned our backs on Krishna and we're no longer with him. But the thing is, real independence is you use your independence to become dependent on Krishna. Right now, our independence is forcing us to be away from Krishna, but if we use the same independent proclivity to be dependent on Krishna, this is the real use of independence. So this human form of life is most valuable, and we're most blessed, and we should be most grateful despite all of our difficulties and obstacles. I read a purport recently where Srila Prabhupada was saying, you know, the human life, you don't come to the stage of human life until you acknowledge that you're uncomfortable in the material world. So you have to be uncomfortable, you have to suffer. My Guru Maharaj said, if Krishna didn't put sand in the sweet rice, then you would want to stay in the material world forever. So I don't think we should break down too much, because there's a lot of these small analogies in this conversation between Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya. There's a lot of these little like anecdotes and stories. The principle is the devotee is the most intelligent, not that the human body is somehow, it's a great benediction, you can say, that we have. So I hope that was some clarification. I don't know if you want to add something also, if you had some thoughts.
No, I'm okay. Thank you. I'm okay. Thank you so much. So Needy, I'm not sure if it's Needy Prabhu, Needy Devi.
It's a lady.
Okay, Needy Devi. Okay, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept
Hare
my humble obeisances. Thank
Hare
you for the
Krishna.
wonderful class. It was so amazing. Prabhu, I was thinking about the part where you said that the Gaudiya Sampradaya elaborates some of the opulence of the Lord. So maybe if we could discuss a little more about that, because I kind of got stuck at that point and I wanted to get
What
some
did I
more-
say? What did I say? I said the Gaudiya contribution talks about what? The opulence?
opulence, or like talking about the glories of Krishna. I mean, that's what I understood, and I was unclear. So I thought maybe we could speak a little more about that.
Well, I'm not sure I fully understand, but I think, you know, if we're talking about opulence, you know, you can see Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So what is Bhagavatam? Bhagavatam is the body of Krishna. You have from the 1st canto up until the 9th canto, it's considered like the feet, the thighs, the waist, all the way up. And then 10th canto is like the head, and the Rasa Panchadiya, it's like the smiling lotus face of Krishna, and then the Brahmara Gita is like the heart of Krishna. But you see, you know, the 10th canto, and then 10th canto is what, like 30 30 something chapters, you know, not even 30, but yeah, Krishna takes birth in the 3rd chapter. So, you know, you have some 30 chapters of Krishna in Vrindavan, but there's what, 90 chapters in the 10th canto where Krishna leaves Vrindavan and he's then in Mathura and then he's to Dwarka and he becomes a king. And, you know, we understand from our acharyas in a confidential way that also these pastimes in Mathura and Dwarka, they're also glorifying Vrindavan in the sense of separation of Vipralambha. Because what is Krishna doing in Dwarka? He's thinking about Vrindavan. You know what I mean? In the nighttime, he's and that's the whole appearance of Lord Jagannath, right? That the Dwarkavasis, they're asking Rohini, you know, what is this Vrindavan? Who are these Brajavasis? And then she describes the pastimes of Vrindavan, and then Krishna and Balaram and Subhadra, they're hearing and they go into ecstasy hearing about the pastimes of Vrindavan. So we understand in an indirect way that also the whole 10th canto and the whole Bhagavatam for that matter, but even these pastimes in Mathura and Dwarka, they're also glorifying Vrindavan. But the thing is, opulence and Aishwarya is important. Like Srila Prabhupada, what did he call Krishna book? He said, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And every line, Prabhupada is stressing, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, hammering it into us that Krishna is God. Because you need the foundation of Krishna being the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, how can you approach Vrindavan? You know what I mean? How can you'll start thinking like, oh, Krishna's pastimes are like my pastimes in the material world. And in one sense, the material world is a perverted reflection. And what's going on here is in its perfection and ultimatum and origin there in that place. But these pastimes of opulence are required. You know, Prabhupada says clearly that we should go through all 9 cantos of the Bhagavatam till we come to the 10th canto. Why? Because we need that foundation of solid tattva, solid Krishna consciousness before we can approach Krishna in Vrindavan. Jiva Goswami gives a really nice analogy. I'm going to try to remember it, but forgive me if I mess it up. He's talking about tattva and lila, and he's saying tattva is like a horse and lila is like the rider of the horse. And if any devotees there, they can correct me. But basically, you know, you ride in on the horse, but it's not that you stay on the horse forever. At some stage, you have to get off. Or there's another analogy, I think also Jiva Goswami gives, where he's talking about like, you know, in a time of war, sometimes these like young farmers and stuff, they give them weapons and then they go to fight, but after the war, they give the weapons back. So both the horse and the weapons, they're an analogy for tattva, which means tattva is required for you to like get to a certain level and a certain place. And for us, of course, in this material body, tattva will also always be there unless we're somehow or other on the platform of bhav and we're in samadhi and we don't care about this world anymore. Tattva is always required as the foundation for us to enter into lila. But, you know, at some stage, lila then you could say takes over. Like I was speaking about in the class, if you heard, you know, I think I didn't even finish the story. You know, if we go to Mother Yashoda and we say, oh, Yashoda, your Lala is the Supreme Lord. And she goes, what do you mean? He's not the Supreme Lord, he's my child. And you say, no, but these Shastras, the Upanishads, the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prem Pumato Mahan, the supreme Praman for Gaudiya Vaishnava is the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam, the all these Bhagavad-Gita, whatever, they're all saying Krishna is God. And even if we read, I don't know, I think it's the last chapter of the 10th canto, you know, the prayers of the personified Vedas, all the Vedas and the Upanishads, they're all running after Krishna, begging for entrance into Vrindavan. They're all running after Krishna, praying for you know, for Braj Bhakti and his service and his association. And they're also taking birth as gopis in Krishna's pastimes. So one, these Shastras, they're saying Krishna is God, but these Shastras, they themselves are chasing after God. And then you have God sitting on the lap of Mother Yashoda. So who is closer to Krishna? The Upanishads and the Shastras and the Vedas who are chasing Krishna, or Mother Yashoda who has Krishna on her lap? And she is saying, Shastra is saying Krishna is God, and Mother Yashoda is saying Krishna is not God, he's my son. So who do we follow? Do we follow Shastra or do we follow Mother Yashoda? Well, it depends. Who's closer to Krishna? Mother Yashoda is closer to Krishna. Therefore, we follow Mother Yashoda. And she's saying Krishna is not God, he's my son. So therefore, this is the final praman. I mean, this is the ultimate praman. But all of this opulence and knowledge, we need this to appreciate that, yes, Krishna is the son of Yashoda. Yes, Krishna is our master, our friend, our child, our lover, depending on that particular relationship. That is, anyway, that's another conversation. But this is this opulence is required, otherwise it becomes, you could say, sahaja or imitation or imagination, which is very dangerous and you could say offensive also. So I'm not sure if that is what you meant or if that's what you were asking, but just to conclude, we need this foundation of tattva and Krishna's godliness to then appreciate and understand that this godliness is simply an aspect of Krishna and he's there in Vrindavan eternally and everything comes from there. So please, you can give some feedback or clarification on your question, or we can. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. That is wonderful. I think what I was not clear about, that makes so much more sense. And this is wonderful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like our philosophy, Krishna, it's not so. Recently, we're in Vrindavan, and you can see Sham Kund is like crooked. You know, they say Krishna is not so. Our philosophy is not so like words on a page and black and white. Krishna is crooked. Love is crooked. You know what I mean? And he's a person. He's not just like in stone and like cemented and God. Krishna's a person. You know what I mean? And people are. I mean, we're also people, so we can have some understanding of his moods and his changing, and you know. So anyway, it's very interesting. Tradition is most inspiring. There's one Sriman Varaha.
Thank you. Yes. Sriman Varaha Prabhu, you may unmute. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the nice lecture. My question is just a clarification I need. There are some groups that claim that we are actually not in Kali Yuga anymore. Scripturally speaking, and we following the Vedic text, we often want to say that, or like to say that we are in Kali Yuga. But we also learned that the advent of Lord Chaitanya is the beginning of the
Did I go off?
another golden age. Some more than us. It seems that some group actually believe that more than we do, excuse me to say, because this groups like the Brahma Kumaris, and there's some other groups who also say the same thing, that we're already in the golden age. See the development taking place side by side, materially, spiritually, that actually we're already in the golden age. So sometimes I find it
Sriman Varaha Prabhu, you probably
actually try, right?
Yeah, your signal is really bad, but I get
your signal is not strong enough. Probably if you
turn the video off.
Turn off the video, yeah.
But I mean, your point is clear. Shall I respond? Because I think, I mean,
yes.
I'm really grateful. I'm so happy that you raised the point, because it is important. Because I did, you know, this is not Kali Yuga, this is Chaitanya Yuga, and I did make these points, but it is also really important, like you mentioned. to understand. It is Kali Yuga. I mean, just look out the window. It's like, it's happening, everybody. Hare Krishna. It's Kali Yuga. And yeah, my understanding, Kali Yuga goes for 432,000 years, of which 5,000 has passed, which means 427,000 years more Kali Yuga. So I heard from the devotees. I never read in Shastra, but I heard from devotees, and I've heard that Srila Prabhupada mentioned, because he also did say that for the next 10,000 years, his books will be the Lord books. But there's, you could say, like a golden age, like a bubble of Satyug, which is the unique, Lord Chaitanya appeared, and then with Lord Chaitanya came this bubble of Satyug. And I know you hear different things. I mean, you hear that, yeah, it'll be Satyug and everything will be wonderful, it'll be Vaikuntha on earth. I mean, but I don't know. If you look out the window, it's like it's not happening anytime soon. So I don't know what's God's plan for us. My understanding, and please, dear devotees, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that Kali Yuga is happening. It's not going anywhere. It will continue, because this is what Shastra is saying. But at the same time, there is an opportunity for every single living entity, especially the humans, to take advantage of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, especially the mercy of our Srila Prabhupada, who, is unimaginably, wonderfully, the savior of the whole world, Srila Prabhupada, savior of the whole universe. There is an opportunity to take advantage of his unique contribution and be swept up in this wave of, maybe you've seen, there's a beautiful picture of like all these devotees with Lord Chaitanya. They're on a boat going through the material ocean, and there's all these like fallen conditioned souls in the water. There's a chance to be like picked up and carried and perfected, I could say. So to clarify, Kali Yuga is absolutely happening, and my understanding is it's not going to end, but there is an opportunity, and I don't know whether the whole world will change and everyone will be devotees. I mean, I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know.
Hare Krishna.
I'm back.
Okay.
I hope I'm back.
Yeah, you are. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, can I just follow up on that question?
Yeah, you may, yes.
So understood where Kali Yuga is running. Okay. There is also another conception that actually it is in the mind. That if you think you're in Satya Yuga, why in Kali Yuga? Then of course you're going to experience Satya Yuga. And if you think that you're in Kali Yuga and you have that kind of mindset, then you're going to experience Kali Yuga. So there is also there is this conception. So I want a clarification. It's true, you can look out the window and see so many things happening, which are actually very baffling and disturbing. There's no doubt about it. But then on the first question I asked, that I saw these other people who say that we're in golden age, they're also saying that, whatever incongruity that may be going on now is for a while, because this golden age is going to go on more, and there's a lot of development taking place side by side, and many of the material miseries will be wiped out with technology, and other things like that. Well, of course, we don't take their promise serious, but they seem to be making some point to some people who want to be optimistic about, the future. Now, but the other concept is also our own idea. I mean, the devotees, ISKCON devotees, we also say that ultimately, being Kali Yuga is a mindset. and then you can live in the Satya Yuga based on, you can create the environment by chanting the holy name, by creating devotional service, and having wonderful Vanashram, village concept, etc. And then you can be in Satya Yuga, even why externally people think that you are in Kali Yuga. So what do you say about that, Prabhu?
Is the question directed at me? Because the last 2 minutes I was not online. I was kicked off. I didn't have the adhikar to hear your question.
Is that so? Is that so? I thought I had you say you're back. That's why I started asking questions.
Yeah, I think
I took off what you said.
He said
When you say you're back.
he was
Yeah,
back,
I said I'm
think he
back,
must
and then
have
they
mentioned
kicked me off again. Yeah, it's such a shame. I'm so sorry, dear devotees. I'm so sorry. You have to forgive me. It's out of my hands.
Do I repeat the question? Do I repeat the question?
You can. Yeah, you can just
in brief.
Yeah.
Okay. So just another concept about Kali Yuga is that it is a mindset that if you create your spiritual environment, chanting and living with devotees and doing devotional service, that actually you transcend the Kali Yuga, that you're no longer in Kali Yuga based on the activities. So there this other concept which I need clarification. How much can we really insist that we're in Kali Yuga if we are doing devotional service and cultivating, devotional environment? So because this other group of people insist on those kind of examples to say that Kali Yuga is a mindset.
Kali Yuga is a what?
Mindset.
It's a
mindset. Well, in one sense, it's true. Prabhupada said, our temples are Vaikuntha, right? Like if you're living with Krishna, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he sings this bhajan. I forget exactly which one, but he's talking about, when he's worshiping Krishna in his home becomes Vaikuntha. So it's true. It is a state of consciousness.
Shuddha Bhakta.
Beautiful. Yeah. So there you go. Shuddha Bhakta Charanarena. Yeah. So like this. I mean, it is absolutely a state of consciousness, but we're also, it's not just us. There's other living entities around us, countless unlimited living entities, and there is another a bigger plan or system. Kali Yuga is going on, but within Kali Yuga, depending on our consciousness, we can be above it. You know what I mean? It's absolutely. I don't see any problem with that. But I mean, we should not be. We should be aware also that certain things are happening in the world, and obviously our acharyas and Srila Prabhupada, they wanted to offset that. Prabhupada, he wanted this world to be like Vaikuntha. And obviously we're in the material world, there'll always be the struggle between the divine and demoniac. But I mean, I don't have any issue with someone saying, oh, depending on your state of consciousness, you're in Kali Yuga. You are in Kali Yuga, but you can, with your consciousness, be in the spiritual world. I mean, that's the goal of our philosophy, right? We're supposed to have the consciousness of being in the spiritual world. If we're always thinking of Krishna, no matter what happens to us, then how can we be in Kali Yuga? How can we be in this material world if we're always absorbed in Krishna, in Krishna's pastimes, his name, his form, his qualities, his activities? Then we may be quote unquote physically in the material world, but we're not. We're in the spiritual world. We're with Krishna. So yeah, it's interesting to think about and speak about. These other groups, these kind of New Age, whatever, oh, Kali Yuga is not here, or it's just a state of consciousness. I mean, this is not really our philosophy. Kali Yuga is happening, and after we leave, Kali Yuga will continue to happen. And after 10,000 years, Kali Yuga will still be happening. And not only will it happen, it will get worse. Prabhupada said recently, I read a quote, people will be eating it's already happening, right? People will be eating their babies, life will be so short. It's so many things is that, rogues and thieves posing themselves as the leaders will mislead the people, and they'll flee to the forest. It's already happening, you know what I mean? And whether devotees somehow or other, they get the inspiration to rise up and take over the world and establish whatever, Vaishnav culture or mandatory, chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, whatever devotees whatever the inspiration. I don't know. I mean, if that happens, great. If it doesn't, I mean, either way, Kali Yuga is happening, and it will happen. And because that's what Shastra is saying, we need to have faith in Shastra that no matter what, Kali Yuga is going on. It is. But depending on your consciousness, you can choose to participate or not. I heard a very beautiful thing, and I'll finish up on this because I saw Avron. He also had a question. But anyway, some very nice devotee. He told me, for like humans, Kali Yuga is a paradise if you just follow a little bit of rules and regulations. Like usually Kali Yuga is like chaos, but for the devotee, if he's following like little bit of rules and regulations and he's chanting Hare Krishna, Kali Yuga is a paradise. So I think about that a lot. I don't know about for the whole devotee community, but I think for many devotees, they have this experience that yes, their life is so blessed. You see all over the world, people are really struggling, really suffering, but somehow or other, we have this Krishna consciousness. If your consciousness is like that, it's a paradise. So I'm not sure if that's clear, but that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Kali Yuga is
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Avron, do you still have a question or comment?
Oh, yeah.
I saw your hand up, Avron. Well, thank you so much, Yoga Prabhu. I usually prefer to ask questions than to comment, but I have one comment about the question, the answer you gave. I think, and I'm just thinking, it's my own little mind. I think that if someone believes that just by his consciousness, he can find himself living in Satya Yuga in this particular time, it's just like most of the time as devotees, we do not want to identify ourselves as Sudras. We have the four varnas. We all try to claim that we are Brahmins. Now, the qualities and the characteristics of each varna is vividly explained in the Bhagavad-Gita. So one would just have to read the characteristics and the qualities of these varnas, and then nobody will have to tell me whether I'm a Shudra or I'm a Vaishya or I'm a Kshatriya or I'm a Brahmin. The qualities are there. And so if someone claims that just by the consciousness he lives in the Satya Yuga, then my first question is, Krishna says that a perfect yogi sees no difference between pebbles and gold. If you are at that level, then probably you may say that you are in the Satya Yuga, even though we are in this Kali Yuga. But as long as we are a preaching movement, Srila Prabhupada does not see anything as material, but for the sake of preaching, he stepped down to a medium level to see differences. And so I think if we are seeing differences of good and bad, then it's obvious that we are in the Kali Yuga, but because of the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we are not having the full-blown effect of the Yuga, but not having the full-blown effect of it does not mean that it is not Kali Yuga. That is my little contribution.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's true. Any other question? Thank you so much for the class. It's very beautiful and it's quite engaging.
It's very nice of the devotees to. Yeah. I remember reading in the first canto early on, maybe first or second chapter, Prabhupada's talking about, one who gives Bhagavatam class, they should be like beyond all fault or something like very high standard to speak on Bhagavatam, but somehow or other the devotees, they like forcing us to like, anyway, whatever good was the mercy of the devotees and those people that have touched my heart and our spiritual masters. So thank you for allowing me to offer something.
Well, thank you, Prabhuji. You don't need to worry about that. I'm sitting here. Whenever I sign my name as Richard because that is who I am. And I give Bhagavatam classes. I think and believe that spiritual life is learning on the job. You don't have to become perfect before you start something.
Yeah.
So even in our imperfection, when we try to speak and share whatever little we have, then probably we can get more. We can sit down till the day we become enlightened.
Yes, it's a fact.
And I don't think that day will ever come anyway.
Well, I know that Krishna is unlimited, so you'll always find newer and newer. You'll always discover newer and newer. But I'll just finish on one thing you reminded me, because Govinda Dasi, she is a very intimate disciple of Srila Prabhupada who served him in many intimate ways. Anyway, so when Prabhupada came to Hawaii, where they opened the center, she had to type for Prabhupada, but she didn't know how to type. And so Prabhupada said, before you start typing, you just chant this mantra, Om Namo, Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjala Shalakaya Chakshunamilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha, and you'll get all intelligence. Just like pray to spiritual master, and all strength, all everything, all facility will come. So like this, we have no qualification, but everything is coming from above.
Yeah.
This is our process.
Yeah.
Jai. All glories to the devotees. Vanchakapa to you, these
So at this point, we're going to kindly ask all the devotees to unmute themselves, and then we chant big Hare Krishna to express our appreciation for Prabhu's presence. Jai, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
And we hope next time we throw you an invite, you will come and share with us.
Next time you do what? Anyway.
Next time we invite you.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
you can tolerate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bo.
Hare
Krishna. Thank you so much for this.
Jai Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'll get it. Yeah.
That's cute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.